religion and philosophy, any of these ancient religions that you don't remember, Morris, or should we just go right through them real fast?
Judaism?
Judaism?
Judaism.
All right, we can do that one. All right. You guys ready? All right. All of these religions, whether it's Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Confucian thought, political, religious philosophy, are going to echo throughout the rest of the course. Key thing to remember is that a lot of these begin all or near the ancient river valley philosophies, or river valleys, because they were the most advanced cultures in the entire world at the time. These ideas will be added on to. From Hinduism stems Buddhism. From Judaism will stem Christianity and Islam. But it stays within the traditional framework or foundation. Right? So we can add on to it, but it's going to have the same roots, like Abraham and Moses and the Ten Commandments. The ideas of these religions will spread globally through like trade, migration, and warfare. The biggest movers of cultural diffusion: trade, migration, warfare. Trade, migration, warfare. And each was created to solve some type of crisis because the old ways of doing things don't work. And here we have the Nile River Valley. We get back. We're going to focus on Mesopotamia, India, and China, and come back over to Greece with religion and philosophy. Our first stop is going to be China with legalism, Taoism, and Confucianism. At the end of the Zhou dynasty, Chinese figured that the old ways are not going to work. There was an era known as the Warring States. Have a good day, Wayne. And the new emperor Shi Huangdi says a strong country must be uniform. A strong country must therefore be united. And I'm going to make you do that. And he said, we're not going to look to the past for answers. Here and now is what matters different. Or here and now is what matters. Situation is different. And he said that humans are driven by greed. We're greedy and we're selfish by nature. He goes, so if what you do wrong is swiftly and brutally punished, then you will learn not to do it. If what you do correct is given rich, lavish rewards, well, then you will want to do more. So his laws are swift and impartial. It's human law above heaven. And Shi Huangdi will unify China in his legalistic philosophy, legal meaning law and punishment. He will eliminate all different types of thought that don't agree with him, and he will burn those books. In the short term, he helps China by increasing the agricultural yield and having a population boom. He will join all sections of the Great Wall together, and he will unify the Chinese writing system. Making everybody, if you can't speak the same, at least you can write the same. However, his changes are too swift, they're too violent, so he is overthrown. All right? He does also build the terror. He's the guy that, made the mercury pills. Those don't taste good. All right. Next, we have my favorite, Confucius. And Confucius is one of the few philosophers whose philosophies Shi Huangdi didn't burn. And Confucius says, okay, I'm a teacher. All right? I want to transmit ideas on how people think. He says everybody has a specific role to play. They're UVA basketball. And he breaks things down into something called filial piety. So there's 5 relationships: ruler to subject, father to son, older brother to younger brother, husband to wife, and friend to friend. In all of those relationships, all right, there's a superior, someone who is supposed to teach and help. The emperor starts that off. He is to teach and help his people. rolling up your sleeves and going to work like you. In most other relationships, there's a superior role and an inferior. Father teaches and helps his son. His son is supposed to listen and learn. And if we all do what we're supposed to, nothing will be left undone. And we will form an unbroken chain from the emperor to the poorest peasant. And he says what we need to do is focus on the true meaning of the word noble. Noble isn't how much money you have. Noble isn't your last name because great-grandpa was rich. Noble is behavior, the doing the right thing, not the popular thing. He said, truly noble people understand this. Commoners can't, but commoners can be made to follow a role model. So Confucius said, I can teach you students how to do this. So from this point on, when China gets into trouble, they ask themselves, WWCD, what would Confucius do? All right, so we got that. Taoism is the complete opposite. Taoists believe that heaven and earth are cruel. Life isn't easy. So we're not going to be a lawnmower mom or a helicopter parent. You've got to suffer. And the perfect sage king is someone who will watch his people. He's tempted to go down there and help them, but if he does, then people will always expect the government to come bail them out. So he treats them like a straw dog. That way people will learn to help themselves. Remember, if you give a man a fish, he will eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he will eat for the rest of his life. So, got that one? Beautiful. We're now going to move to India. We're almost to Judaism now. You got like 10 more minutes left in you. You sure?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. So, when we last left India in the river valley, it's the Vedic age. The Aryans have come. They've written the Vedas, and we understand how the caste system works. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaiyas. And in order to move up, to help you move up, you had to do these elaborate ceremonies and bright, brilliant rituals. Well, the problem was only the super rich could afford to do them. I can't sacrifice my chicken because I need my chicken to lay eggs. There was this magical, elaborate approach to the religion. Well, a new Veda comes out and says you can acquire union with Brahman alone. Brahman, there's the earth, there's heaven where the gods and goddesses are, and above that there's the concept of Brahman, which is like the Force in Star Wars, is the easiest way to mentally visualize it. All living things are connected to the Force, your cosmic life force that binds all things together. Well, you don't need to do a ritual. It's mental action and meditation alone. Focus on your goal. It's like advanced levels of martial arts. You can do the physical, all right? Now it's mental. The next steps are all mental. So we have a couple different groups. The Upanishads and later on the Jains are going to come up with a similar kind of way of looking at the same thing. And what they say, the Upanishads, is that nothing is permanent, all right? Success, failure, youth, age, nothing's permanent. So don't rest on your laurels, all right? Conducting the ritual, saying a prayer good one time is better than saying it crappily 1,000 times. And you've got to understand the transmigration or the samsara, the endless cycle of death and rebirth. You are working your way in each life to climbing the ladder to get to Brahman. If you're good, you're going to be born in a higher caste. If you're bad, you can sink backward. So you can focus on yourself. Where you are is because of you. Are you right? If you screw up on the AP exam, it's because either your teacher or me was terrible, or you screwed up, misread a prompt, or didn't do any work. So you got to understand the idea of karma. Karma is defined as actions. You want to minimize your bad actions and maximize your good ones. But you can't build up a surplus. Like, oh, I've done 10 things good, so now I can do something bad. It doesn't work that way. Maximize good, minimize bad. And this also builds into the idea of dharma. Is again, where you're at is because of where you were. That Dharma initiative on that show Lost that my wife loved, well, they're on the island because they were doing some stuff. You've got to accept your place, your caste, your gender, your job. You're there because of you. And then we get a guy named Mahariva who comes up with Jainish Hinduism, who says that karma itself is like a magnetic weight. It will attach to your soul. Or like Jacob Marley in A Christmas Story, all right? Your bad actions will magnetize to your soul and it will weigh you down. So your good actions don't weigh anything and it will help you climb the ladder faster. That is Hinduism, all right? Hinduism is monotheistic with Brahman, but also polytheistic to the other different gods and goddesses. Very colorful and brilliant. People like to visualize a higher power. And in India, they're very brilliant, very colorful, from people to animals, all kinds of interesting things. That will segue into Buddhism, where we've got our man. Believe it or not, we're almost done with this. We might be able to get it done by 5:15, 5:20 if you guys can hang in there. Buddhism will be started by an ultra-rich kid, Siddhartha Gautama, who is so rich he never leaves his palace. Think of Jasmine in Aladdin. And his son's ball goes underneath a little gate. He walks out to get it, and he goes out in the roadway. He sees a sick man, a beggar, a sick man, a poor man, and a dying man. And it freaks him out. He figured everybody lived like him, and I got a sick guy, a poor guy, and a dying guy, and he freaks out. So he leaves his wife and his kids, and he punches his ticket, and he goes out into the desert for how many days?
40.
40. We're going to go do our 40 days. And he begins to meditate, and he's thinking about some stuff, and he's chilling out under a pipal tree, and bam! Waking you guys up. An epiphany happens, all right? And all of his past lives are transmitted to his brain. He realizes what he did good, he realizes what he did bad, and why he is there. And he said, in order to succeed, you've got to follow the middle path. It's a shortcut. In Hinduism, it's going to take many lives to get to Brahman, but bam, I can shoot you there faster. And he calls Brahman Nirvana, like the grunge band from Seattle. Don't even know what they were saying. They were mumbling in a microphone, but they're revolutionary. That's awesome. All right. So, what Buddha says are the four noble truths. All life is suffering. All right? Life sucks because of desire. We want stuff. We're never satisfied. We want more. And all life is suffering because of desire. So if we want to succeed, we've got to get rid, number 3, of desire. And you do that through the eightfold path. You've got to have right understanding. Know what is right, what is wrong. Think good thoughts. No mean internal monologues. Correct speech. Don't yell at anybody. Don't cuss at anybody. Don't talk bad about anybody. Again, do the right thing, not the poor thing. Earn your own way. Have good livelihood. It's okay to be successful, but don't be overly done. Put forth effort. Don't be a lazy slob. And think about what you do. Every action is going to have a reciprocal reaction on your soul. It's like the 10 Commandments or Mahariva Jainist Hinduism. Don't lie, don't steal, don't kill. So, It may take you several lives, but it's a shortcut to Brahman, and the poor people of India love it because it removes them from the caste system. Now eventually, by the Gupta dynasty, Buddhism will move via the Silk Road into China, as it will be pretty much replaced internally in India by Hinduism. People think of Buddhism as Chinese, but it starts in India. So, everybody good? All right, look at this. We got 3 slides left. Can you guys handle it? All right, Judaism is the first of the 3 great monotheistic religions. And by great, that means number of followers. Judaism is the religion of the Israelites, the Hebrews. And they come up with the concept of God, otherwise known in Hebrew as Yahweh. Well, everyone else has these polytheistic gods, control the wind and the rain and the sun and the moon and life and death. Hebrews got one guy who does it all, sees all and knows all. And he forms a covenant, a contract with the ancient Hebrews, where he said, "You are my chosen people. I will protect you and I will look after you, but you have to worship me and only me. And if you don't, there's going to be a penalty." And he says this to Father Abraham, who is the ancestor of both the Hebrew and the Arabic nations. And there's a dual responsibility. I will do this for you, but you've got to do it for me. And the Old Testament of the Bible is the historical narrative of the Hebrew people. In it, you'll hear things like Hittites and Assyrians and Babylonians. Well, and you can read about the same event, but from a Hittite, Assyrian, or Babylonian perspective. And because people have a short memory, all right, Abraham remembers and his kids remember, but 100, 150 years down the road, everybody forgets. So the Hebrews will send inspired messengers to guide the people back. All right, you'll be punished, but here you come back. Moses will issue the 10 Commandments in the Torah, God's laws. I'm going to make it easy. Just do this. Just follow my formula, like I'm telling you guys these essay formulas, and you guys are going to be good to go. King David, the slayer of Goliath, all these, prophets bring people back. And there are 2 centerpieces of Judaic monotheism. Number 1, God has a divine plan. Right? He knows what you're going to do before you are going to do it. And number 2, God is perfect justice and goodness. Right? And like a good parent, there's going to be a punishment for doing things wrong. If you break the covenant, I've got to punish you. But I'm not trying to be mean. It's to teach you what not to do. And God will always, always, always take you back. And so the Hebrews and their religion's going to spread worldwide are not remembered by a great dynasty or a powerful king, but by a shared communal religious faith and their practice of it. And it will give birth to Christianity, who will be layered on top. All right? Hebrews are the chosen one. Jesus, Peter, and Paul will get the Gentiles. And on top of that, Muhammad will get everybody else with the Arabs. But both Christianity and Islam trace their roots right back here to Judaism. Any questions? Polsky, you good? Tom.
Can you go over like the Torah and the 10 Commandments?
All right, the Torah is the rule book. It is the rule book that God says these are all the things you need to do and how to do them. So the 10 Commandments are the bullet points, and the Torah, in its simplest sense, will tell you how to do the 10 Commandments. All right, simple, just do this. I'm going to make it easy for you. I'm going to write it down, and here you go. All right. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, covet thy neighbor's goods. It's very similar to Mahariva is Jainism, just, different terms. Last but not least, we don't have a religion, but it's another philosophy, like going back to ancient China, and that is Greek philosophy. And philosophy simply means a lover of wisdom. And Thales is sitting by that stream. He sees the stream change its course, and he flips his lid and says, wait a minute, a water nymph didn't do that. Poseidon didn't do that. The world is rational and knowable. All we have to do is study it. So if we can apply that to the world, then if we apply the same rationality to politics, we can figure out the best society possible. We'll know how it works. And so this kicks in one of the big three. Socrates. Socrates, a city father of Athens, fights in the Persian Wars. And he believes in the idea of a city-state. He says if you live there, then you should follow its laws. And he helps write many of them. But he doesn't like democracy because he feels that most people are too stupid. You don't know why you're making that decision, so how can you make one for me? Explain why you did that, how and why. And he teaches his students to question the leadership of Athens. Not to be mean, but when you make campaign promises, how much money is that going to take? How long is it going to take? Where are you going to start? He goes, and if the politician can't answer those questions, then don't vote for him. And it makes all the politicians mad. This questioning to get at the core is known as the Socratic method. It winds up getting Socrates condemned as a traitor, and he is put to death. This will upset, there he is drinking a little hemlock, all right? Remember the story, they tried to trick him, go ahead and you can choose to leave or death, and he's like, oh, I'm going to choose death. Well, no, you don't understand the law. But actually, I wrote the law, so you can't discredit me. Give me the hemlock, and we're going to call it a day. So his best student, Plato, goes on a journey. He's upset. His teacher is killed. And he wanders around for 10 years looking for the perfect government. And at this time, he's going to write 26 essays. Allegory in a Cave about the thirst and quest for education and enlightenment. And in Plato's Republic, where he asks and answers his own questions, kind of weird, he claims the best government possible in ancient Atlantis, where there are three classes. Philosopher kings who would prefer a life of study and contemplation, but they know they have to rule. Then there are warriors who will guard everybody, and farmers. And what Plato's philosophy, so we can finish here, is that it's not what you want, it's what the community needs. So it's not your will, it's Thomas Hobbes. Subordinate yourself to the will of the community. If you want to be a doctor and you need the community needs a garbage man, sorry Connor, you're a garbage man. It's not your thought, it's what the community needs. Human logic is more important than what the gods think. Any questions there? And then last but not least, we have my favorite, Aristotle. He says, if you observe everything long enough, you will figure out what makes it tick. A tiger can't change its stripes. And he said, I disagree with my man Socrates and Plato, my mentors. He says that for government to exist, it should never be intertwined with religion. Always separate church and state. And he says the best government will allow their people to be self-sufficient. All right, make sure they have what they need. But if the people want to better themselves, if they want an education, or if Connor wants to be a doctor, then how do we help Connor become a doctor? Help assist those in need. If you have a chance for social mobility, if you have a chance for growth, you're going to be happy. You're not locked into a job. And Aristotle says, look, man, make the social ladder climbable. Celebrate achievement. And he who wants to win an election should seek the middle class, the nameless, faceless people who go to work every day, they pay their taxes. You don't see them, Max, because it's every man. Think of the Gracchi brothers in Rome, and he says, the best government, you're never going to please everybody, so do what is best for the majority of the people. Majority wins. And that is the fastest 25 minutes of religion and philosophy that I can think of. Any questions? All right. Can you go ahead and stop for me, Connor? What do we want to do on Thursday?